name is Eric Rogers, and this is my post-mortem video. If you remember from weeks past, I had decided to do a redesign of a website that I had done before, Jalango Restaurant's website. And I've made significant improvements to that design. As you can see, starting from the home page, I still have the video on here. This is going to be replaced by a slideshow of images. And then this week I also completed the lunch menu, which looks as such. The only thing I wasn't able to do right now was to create the sticky nav from the lunch menu header. I'd like to have it to where it sticks to the top of the page as the user scrolls down and have each section light up as they go to it. But it's something that I'm going to have to research a little more on how to do. But I pretty much have the menu laid out how I intended to do it, which was leaps and bounds better than what I had before. So now I have much better hierarchy. All the menu items are in their correct places. And I also completed the reservations page. I took a little bit of critique from one of our classmates that it mentioned because I was going to have an Angular form fill out over here reflecting what the user had inputted and give them a print option. But rather than do that, I'm going to have it to where when they click on submit, it will bring up a modal with a verify their information and show them all the information they inputted, and then they can click verify or reset, which would actually bring them back to the form and clear it out. Or actually I could do an edit instead and just bring it back to the form, and also give them the third option to be able to click on a print and print out their reservation. I added this little page curl effect to the bottom of this page and also to the very bottom of the menu page. So to see how I achieved all this, I actually have cleaned up my code tremendously from what it was before. I'm using a description list with article tags to reference each section for like the appetizers and the tacos and the huevos and the specialties. And the reason I chose to do this in separate article tags is because if somebody was to parse this with a screen reader, I don't know how their screen reader is going to render it exactly, but I would like them to know that this is completely different sections. So with all of this, I only had to add a couple of classes, mainly just to the images that were embedded within the description lists. But I'm using Sass for my CSS, and the only thing that I'm not really liking is I had to use absolute positioning and relative positioning for these menu items. I use relative positioning for this background container, and then all of the menu items are absolute positioned rather than using floats. And the reason I had to go that route with it is because this description title and description data, if I float everything, all the titles line up and then all of the data lines up. So it wasn't really working out the way I needed it to. So in doing it that way, I've had to use a lot of selectors in CSS. Let me just go to the top of the menu, like the appetizer section. Once I got into the description list and got the first title, and then the second title, and then the third title, I had to actually choose each and every one of them and position them perfectly. So that works if I'm wanting a website that never changes, but it doesn't make it mobile friendly at this stage. So I will have to set breakpoints and actually go in and redo everything, which to me um, isn't very good way of doing things, because I need it to be a lot faster than manually positioning everything. So that's something I need to research a little bit more. Going into my reservations code, I've kept this fairly clean. I've had to, I used a div here to contain the left side of the page, left side of the content. I contain this section in a div and this section in a div, actually this entire form in a div, to show the divisions and give a separation. But as far as the form, I gave a class to this paragraph tag for error, which currently is not displaying. It's actually there in between each one of these form fields. So if I go into my CSS, and you can see that I have the opacity set to 0. If I turn it to 1, this is where all the error messages will be placed whenever the user makes an error. So this is pretty much what I have accomplished this week. It's been interesting. I've been doing a lot of research on how to make the lunch navigation here a sticky nav, and it's something that I'm just going to have to learn a little bit more about if I decide to use Angular. One of the things that I've learned overall from this is just because I know how to use a certain framework doesn't mean it's always the best choice. We just learned how to use Angular, so I was wanting to practice with it. But overall, I almost feel like that this entire site would benefit more from just using something simple as jQuery, or even just plain JavaScript for all the functionality. Because currently, the only thing I'm using Angular for is the routing to load separate templates and set the title on the home page and the lunch menu. Really, it doesn't perform any other actions currently. So that's something that I want to keep in mind moving on in the future, is I don't always have to use a framework to make things easier. And if I do choose to use a framework, I need to make sure that I research which would be the proper framework for the job. Another thing that really got me started off that I've learned about from this month from my other classmates, Clayton mentioned, in my other design, how everything, it looked like a data design, and truly it does. Sometimes we get caught up in what we're doing and we just push forward and push forward, and we never take the time to step back and look at what we really achieved. And what I achieved here was nothing spectacular. Not that this is fantastic, but it is much better, and I feel like I have improved greatly in my design skills in this month alone. Um, I've learned a lot from everybody and the critique that our professor has given us. So hopefully I will continue to just improve, and um, as a designer, as a developer, I feel like I could probably always learn how to clean things up better. Something that I really want to learn better is using Sass, because I have over 1,000 lines of Sass just for those 3 pages, and I know that's a lot. So moving forward, this is some of the stuff that I would like to work on. I thank everybody for watching my video and giving me your ears. Thanks.